Hi, I'm Tyson Franklin, and welcome to this week's episode of 5 Minute Friday. Today's episode is titled, Make Hay While the Sun Shines. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of this saying before, which basically means make the most of your opportunities while you have the chance to do so, or take advantage of favourable circumstances when the time is right. This phrase originated with English farmers in the 1500s, and 100 or so years later extended into general life and quickly became a cliche. I often remember my parents saying to me on a regular basis as a kid, and I do recall using it myself with my own children, but why am I bringing it up today? I've had a few situations over the past couple of months that reminded me of the importance of this saying in our day-to-day lives, regardless of what you do. Situation number one. I was at a networking event which was quite loud, meaning I was almost yelling for most of the night just to be heard. This really took a toll on my voice. And the next day, I was scheduled to do a podcast recording and I could hardly talk. So I had to reschedule the recording for a few days later. Situation number two. I went to Podcast Movement in Philadelphia in July. And even though I was not talking loud, I was meeting a lot of people and I talked a lot over a 3-day period. And pretty much my voice was worn out. Now, while I was there, I was also being interviewed. And fortunately, I managed to just get through it. Which leads me on to situation number three. I got the dreaded man flu. And man, if you're listening to this, you know how bad that can get. In fact, this was only last week. So as I'm recording this, I'm probably still not 100%, but I've recovered enough to do this podcast recording. Plus, I have the ability to edit out the odd cough if it occurs. And you may still even hear a little bit of croakiness in my voice. So what does this have to do with making hay while the sun shines? Well, let me explain. I produce a weekly podcast show where I interview a guest and also a short 5-minute Friday episode, just like this one I'm doing now. So far, I've never missed uploading an episode on time, but that's only because I've made hay while the sun shined. I've had guest interviews recorded for at least 4 weeks in advance, and I've had a few 5-minute Friday episodes on standby just in case they were needed, which I have needed them in the past. Podcasting has taught me that my voice is very, very important, and without it, I am buggered. But it's not just my voice that can prevent my podcast from being uploaded on time. It's not uncommon to have internet problems, computer hardware and software glitches, power outages, and last-minute guest cancellations. All these events are why I must plan ahead for future problems. In addition to this, I have to plan for holidays and other work, social, and family commitments. In an earlier 5-Minute Friday, I talked about creating a disaster folder, which is extremely important, but making hay while the sun shines is just as important, if not more so. If you make hay while the sun shines, it gives you breathing space when the sun is not shining and covered by thick grey clouds. When I owned my podiatry businesses, we made a lot of orthotics, which are shoe inserts, and we had computerized milling machines on site that could make them really, really fast, which is why we offered a 24-hour fitting service. Most of our patients loved this fast service, but some were, they weren't in any hurry and didn't mind waiting 2 or 3 days for their fitting visit. And this is when problems occurred, not with the patients, but with the podiatrists. Because the orthotics were not due the next day, the podiatrist wouldn't do the design straight away. Instead, they would put it off till tomorrow, the day after that, or they would wait till the morning that the orthotics were actually due to be fitted. But this is why you need to make hay while the sun shines. Instead of doing the orthotic design and having it milled out straight away, ready to be fitted, while the sun is shining and the time is perfect, they would wait. And what could possibly go wrong? You could have a computer crash, a software malfunction, the drill bit on the actual milling machine could break, the lab technician could call in sick, or you could have a simple power outage. So, does this happen often? No, it didn't, but it should never have happened. If you have time to do a task right now, then do it, because you don't know what tomorrow will bring. Making hay while the sun shines doesn't just apply to work, it applies to home as well. And here's a final tip. Start timing yourself on how long it takes to do certain tasks at work and at home. You may be surprised it doesn't take you as long as you think, and you can fit in far more during a 40-minute time window than you thought you could. So I hope you get something from this today. I hope you make hay while the sun shines, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye for now.